Okay.
Jump in.
We're live officially. We'll give it a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? What is today? Tuesday? I'm all mixed up now. Tuesday night.
Yeah, it's Tuesday night.
Yep. 8 o'clock, as promised. Good evening, everyone. How you doing, Cheryl? We're just going to give Mike a few minutes to come on. How's everyone doing tonight? Hey, Carrie, how are you? We have a special guest joining us, Travis. How are you, Ann? How you doing? So, Mike should be joining us any minute. I told him 8 o'clock. So hopefully he'll be coming on in a second. Julie, Celine, can't see that one. Can you?
Julie, Beth, Luann. Yeah,
Luann.
it's hard for us to see. LJ.
Veronica, how are you? I can see a few, but not all of them. Hello, Teresa, Karen too. Karen covers everything.
1 and 2.
So, I'm sure Mike is probably trying to get on. He told me he used StreamYard before, so hopefully he's not having too hard of a time. But I should have put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Forget about that. Anyway, Joanne, Kathy, how are you? Joining you from, wow, where is that? How do you even say that? Celine, I don't even know where that is. John McGinnis, how are you, my friend? There we go. All right. Let me pop my cam right here. There he is.
What's happening, man?
Hey, Mike, let me just change the view real quick. I don't like this layout at all.
Sure.
There we go. How's it going?
And Mike.
Good. How about yourself, man?
Not too bad. I like the background there, man. I can see we got to get a snazzy background. We're the no frills people. We just.
Excuse me. We're the Zen people.
Is that what this is?
That's effort behind you, sir.
Is?
There's effort behind you, sir.
Is there?
Yes.
I like it. It's moody.
Mike likes it.
Set the mood.
It's moody.
If we were smoking weed, probably the perfect background.
It's called Zen.
Anyway, Mike, thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know, Mike, I always butcher your last name. How do you say your last name?
Gonsalves.
Gonsalves.
Yep.
From the WRAITH Chasers, formerly the Tennessee WRAITH Chasers. Am I right on that?
Yep. Yeah.
So Mike is probably one of the few Jersey guys that we've ever had join us on one of these things.
He's Jersey guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
What part of Jersey are you from, Mike?
I was born in Elizabeth.
Oh, man, not far at all. I spent a lot of time in Rahway. We're in Metuchen now. So you were...
So not just a Jersey guy, a central Jersey guy.
Yeah, Elizabeth to Linden to Howell.
She lived in Linden.
I lived in London.
Get out of here. Small world. How old were you when you moved wherever you are now?
I moved to Florida when I was like 16, I think, 16, 17.
Oh, okay. So you were kind of young when you...
I moved from Florida up to here.
Did you?
Fort Myers, Cape Coral.
Okay, I was outside of Tampa, so still close. Right?
So I lived in Tampa for a while before I moved here, and most people don't know this place, Zephyr Hills.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yes.
That.
I don't know anything.
Only the in people will know what Zephyr Hills is.
Sure.
Everybody else knows that that's where the water comes from, right?
Yeah.
So, you guys, if you have any questions, we're keeping an eye on the feed there. So we'll ask Mike questions as we're going, asking him our questions. First thing, Mike, I'm trying to go back in my mind and think, because I think I watched all the incarnations of the Tennessee WRAITH Chasers on TV. You weren't part of Ghost Asylum, were you?
No, towards the end of Ghost Asylum, I started working production on the show. So that's how I started. I mean, got to get closer, I should say, with the team. Because I knew a couple people from the gym prior. And so after working production on a show, I got tighter with the rest of the team and slowly got brought on. So that's how that is. I mean, because I was in the music business for over 15 years, and basically knowing a couple guys from the gym, we were off the road recording an album. And I'm so used to living out of a suitcase and traveling. I'm like, man, you got to get me a gig, because they're like, we're about to start a new season of Ghost Asylum. I was like, I'd never done any of that before. So, I was like, I can fake it till I make it kind of deal. And, so they got me the gig, and I did Exorcism Live first in 2015, and then did the full season after that. And I walked into Exorcism Live, I didn't know anything. So
Get out of here.
No, I mean, I've never done it before. I didn't know what was expected, and I kind of they called me the clipboard guy for a while because I carried a clipboard out, because in my mind I'm like, I'm going to look busy if I carry it.
Chair got thrown across the room. Got that, guys. Right.
We're all good here. Then it's like,
here.
I don't know if you watch Seinfeld, but then you take the George Costanza, you just look annoyed.
I watch Seinfeld every night on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
So it's like you look busy, but then it went into the season, and then then I got to know my ass from a hole of ground on that. But I will say, to fast forward, meeting a few people on that, it's definitely a who you know business, because since then I actually thought I was going to start doing TV production. I never even thought of ghost hunting and stuff like that, even though it was very cool. I was like, this is awesome, because it was very similar to music, the creation of a show,
right,
of lighting, of just spending hours to get the right scene, or just a time lapse. So I was like, I really dig this. I just want to take a shift from music and maybe go to that. But like, again, to fast forward, I did the Wild and Out tour, worked with Dennis Miller and Howie Mandel, and started doing different TV stuff.
Oh, wow. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, through that time, I mean, I was spending more time with the guys, and I was very into the paranormal anyway, just never sought it out. Never watched Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, but I just thought the idea of it's very cool. So started doing more and more public ghost hunts, some private stuff, and then that kind of fell into 2 years later to where it started Haunted Towns.
Right.
And Haunted Towns, I was a little bit in front of the camera, but also full-time production, which was, I mean, that was just a few months of, burning the candle at both ends. They were literally like 17-hour days. I mean,
well, I don't want to jump. I want to kind of pace and go through the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the music part of it. I didn't know anything about the music part of it. Do you play an instrument? Do you sing? Or
I play guitar. So it's like I had my band, and then I also did some studio stuff with other people. But with my band, we traveled and toured with like the heyday from Alice Cooper and REO Speedwagon to Papa Roach and Shinedown. And
no way.
The last one was Fuel. That was in 2014. We did a North American tour with Fuel. And after that, I think we did maybe one or two shows at SeaWorld. And that was it. It's crazy, because if I knew then, whenever that was, to go, this is the last time I'm ever going to play on a stage like this, I'd remember it more. And I can't think of which one it is, because that's what I'm saying now. I'm was it SeaWorld? Was it, it's like I don't even know what it was, but I wish I can go back and know that, soak in that moment, because it's going to be it.
What was the name of the band?
Hip Kitty was the name of the band.
Hip Kitty is cute. You have videos on YouTube, songs on YouTube, and stuff like
that?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's way more that I'm not proud of on YouTube.
What kind of music? Are we talking hard rock?
Yeah, it's rock. I mean, nothing like death metal. My wife was a singer, so it's a girl-fronted rock band. But if you had to say, like, maybe Shinedown-ish with a girl lead singer.
Oh, cool.
Nothing like, it wasn't screamo or nothing.
No, yeah. We just went to see Shinedown in September.
I love Shinedown.
Awesome.
Oh, we played with them. It was no arenas. I mean, that was club days,
That is crazy. What year are we talking about here? I don't want to date you too much.
Oh, no, I don't mind. That was mid-2000s was pretty much the core of it. I mean, we went all the way up to, like I said, 2014, 15, but I would say mid to late 2000s was like the big chunk of it. I think in 2012 we did over 200 shows in that year.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Now, do you think at that point, record deal, we're going to be touring forever, we're going to be like Shinedown, we're going to hit it big, or is it just take it day by day, year by year? And
no, I mean, that was the pipe dream of everybody. It's like, this is what we want. I mean, since I was a little kid, it was like, being 5 years old and dressing like Gene Simmons is like, I want to be a rock star. And I never took lessons. I learned everything on my own. And it's like, so I can't read music. I didn't know theory. I just knew what I wanted to do. And and played it, figured it out. But definitely the lazy man's way of doing it, I guess.
See, isn't it weird? Again, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 55, and I'm not. This is a music show. We're not going to get too deep into the music rabbit hole. But like when I was a teenager, like my brother was into music, got me into music and rock and all that. You know, Aerosmith and lots of other bands, Led Zeppelin, and all this other stuff. And as a young teenager back then, the goal was to be David Lee Roth or whatever. If you wanted to get in a band and you wanted to be huge and you wanted to tour, and it's so different now. I don't think it's anything close to what it was when we were younger.
No.
What, you didn't want to be a ballad singer?
No, I mean as far as bands and all that record.
Oh, right. It's like I mean the changes that happen in the scene in my little thing of it. You know, imagine just going back to 60s, 70s, 80s. But it's like, I mean, I like all genres, but it's like a thing I always went by. Bobby Dahl, the bass player for Poison, right?
Yeah.
Like watching an interview with him, he says, I never like, how do you say, like, I never wanted to go out and be the best musician. I just wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
I'm like, that's me. You know, it's like, I'm not striving to be the best, the next Steve Vai or whatever. It's like, I want to be a rock star. I love.
But that's the majority of rock stars. There are only a few that are like up here.
Right. Right. I mean, even if you look at musicianship, look at a Steve Vai or look at a Kurt Cobain, or it's like a screaming out of tune playing guitar guy.
Yeah. Look at Eddie Van Halen and Kurt Cobain. It's like two different sides of the spectrum, yet they were as huge as the other. You know?
It's like I loved writing music. I loved playing it live. I loved the entertainment field. I love being out there and doing it. And it's, if somebody digs your song, it's cool. It's like to actually hear your song on the radio is cool. Or if you just have Spotify on, and I'm like, and it happens every now and then. I'm like, this is familiar. This is no shit too. This was like 2 months ago. We were having a yard sale, and I just had Spotify or something was on, and this is hours all morning. Then I'm like, oh, this song's familiar. Who was it? Also, I'm like, it's me. And I'm like,
wait, I know this song.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
I couldn't tell you how to play it anymore, but I'm like, I'm in my garage, like, whoop, whoop.
See, I didn't know anything about that stuff. I know everybody wants to kind of get to the paranormal stuff, but I didn't know any. Mike came to the expo. He's been to the New Jersey Power Unit Expo, but if anybody who goes there knows, it's busy. These guys have people around them all day long at their table, and then at the party, they're talking to everybody. And we kind of step back and let everybody have the experience that they paid for.
Yeah, we don't get to speak.
So we really don't get to hang out and talk that much.
We're behind the scenes.
I was glad that Mike agreed to do this because it kind of gave me an opportunity to talk to him when I never really, I get that, you know?
Oh,
so Mike,
it's anytime. Oh, go ahead.
We're just the clowns.
Let's talk about the paranormal stuff. Your beliefs growing up. Were you? I know you and Chris are real tight. You're good friends. You travel all over. I know Chris is really deep rooted in the religion and his beliefs. Are you from the same type of background, family that?
Oh, we're both Christians. He's missionary Baptist, a little bit more. I know I'm not going to say strict, but definitely the beliefs are the same. We have the same solid beliefs, but definitely a little different.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to say strict. I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's definitely different. Like where my pastor is like, man, take me on a ghost hunt. I want to go on a ghost hunt. That's so cool.
So you're more relaxed in your Christianity.
Yeah. You know, it's like, let's just say strict for lack of better words.
Right, no, I get it.
Yeah, so his is not as much as in my church. It's cool, but it's like not to go down the religious rabbit hole. But I mean, the Bible speaks of spirits and demons and everything alike too. So there's something out there for sure. And I don't want to say it's totally my religion or belief coming on it. I just also personally don't think we're ever going to find out what it is.
Not till we get there.
Like we're all trying to go, we all ask the same questions. Why are you here? Why this? And my belief, I know I ask those questions too. I don't think we're ever going to find out. And I also think we're not meant to know.
Yep.
And so it's like, I'll say those things to try to get a response. And then people say, well, why do you think this house is quote unquote haunted? I'm like, I don't mean this in a mean way, but I don't know. And I don't care. I like going in there and I just like, there's something out there and let's capture it and just go, yes, There is something, and I'll have my theories, and I want to hear somebody else's theories. There's no right, there's no wrong, and it's like if any one kind of person turns me off, is somebody coming at me with a fact, and I'm like, how do you have a fact of the complete unknown?
Well, they've been there and back, so they could fill us all in.
It's like, somehow. You talked to Jesus. What did you tell him? What did you tell you? You know? But it's like that's the only kind of people that turn me off. But it's like I love hearing theories and whys and hows because it's like, it gets our wheels turning too. But the fact people are the ones that turn me off.
But growing up as a kid, coming up, I mean, I had interest in UFOs and Bigfoot and all that stuff and ghosts and all that. Were you curious about ghosts and spirits and all that? Did you have any experiences as a kid prior to the show?
I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did, but I just never put two and two together of like it's paranormal. I always believed in ghosts. I always believed in like aliens. I would be a little kid looking at the sky. I think I see a UFO. I think we're naive to think we're the only ones that are, it's like there's definitely way more out there. We don't know everything on our own planet. How do we know things outside? But also, I believe there's a Bigfoot or creature or whatever you want to call it. I just never sought it out growing up, or like I said, I never. Let's fast forward to season 1 of Haunted Towns. I was talking with Steve and Tango, Steve mainly, and we were just BSing about music all night. And this was just at the hotel. And I said to Chris, this guy's cool, because all we did was talk about music. I'm like, this guy's cool. Who is he? He's like, that's Steve from Ghost Hunters. I'm like, what's Ghost Hunters? And he's like, it's a show.
Like the OGs, I
never watched it. I had no idea. I never watched Ghost Asylum until somewhere within that first season. I'm like in a hotel, like, let me see what this show's about. These are my friends. Let me watch them on TV. That's how little I knew about it. But
hey, this Hawes guy is all right. He'd be good on TV. Why don't somebody talk to that guy?
I think it's cool though, because it's like when it does come to investigating, it's like I didn't copy anything off of anybody.
Yep, exactly.
Not that I'm not saying I'm unique in any way, but it's like I just did my thing, and I was like, I investigate like if like me and you were talking right now.
Right.
And if I went in a room, I would just, hey, what's going on? I'm not like, the job interview investigator. So why are you here? Why don't you do this? I don't come in that way. I just come in and it's very casual. So, but I never sought it out growing up. I always believed in it, and it really wasn't until Ghost Asylum really working production, because doing a lot of things by yourself in basements or wherever, it's like you would start hearing things and seeing things, and I'm like, this is kind of messed up, because I do believe in it. I wasn't one of those production people that's like, oh, this is all bullshit. And then going in there, I believed in it. So when things started happening, or you seen like little shadow things, I remember in Peoria, it looked almost like, the only way I can describe it, if it was like, beyond little people, like little shadow things.
Really?
Like running, not like if mice can run on their back feet and run around, it's like you just saw shadow things in the basement. I'm like, this is up. And it's like I left, and I don't know if you remember that episode. There was a big cage, almost like a crib that was built to recreate how they kept one of the patients in this like cage. It was a sad story, but that was built for the like the quote unquote trap for Ghost Asylum. And so I left, and then they wanted me to go back down and kind of take it apart and get it out. I'm like, I'm not going back down there by myself. And me and the other guy had to go do it. I'm like, did you see? And then I remember even Chasey Ray on that. They didn't say anything on the episode, but he was down there and he saw it too. I'm like, yeah, I know. I thought it was my eyes. It was like you just see these little, it looked like running all over the floor. And it's like, this is messed up, but it's exciting at the same time. And then it's like, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. I want to see more. And it's like, and $1 million question we always get is like, what's scary to you, or what location? I'm like, anywhere by yourself is scary.
There you go. True.
With activity.
When we both saw that, we'd be like, whoa, dude, look at that. But by yourself, it's like, I got to go. This is but it's adrenaline rush when you see stuff like that.
So back to you're working as a production person on Ghost Asylum. As I don't know, like you said, clipboard or whatever. When are you in the buildings with them? Are you seeing things that you had never seen before early on, or when you're working with them? Like, what was the first thing that made you go like, what the hell? You mean this is real type of thing?
Yeah, and I would say I would go that Peoria was the first episode filmed. So when we were there, like Exorcism Live was my first haunted location.
Right.
But I mean, I was in the house, but when it came time for, there was so many people on that. It's like the house was on lockdown unless something was being filmed. So I was never really in it during filming. But Peoria was the first episode filmed. Then after that, if I'm not mistaken, was Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And to this day, that is one of my, if somebody says your number one haunted location, it's like there's many. Of course, there's many, but that's the number one that comes to my mind. And that was the second one we filmed at. And
Okay.
even though it's cleaned up a whole lot, there's still something about you pull into that driveway, that parking lot, that place, and you go, "Oof." It's like you just know. It's like one of those, for me. But I love the place, and we're going back in next month or 2 months. But there are so many things that happened when we were filming that week. To me, to crew people, to the camera guys. One of the other production girls, she chose to stay behind while we were doing driving scenes. She calls me 10 minutes later, says she hears women talking in there, even though she was the only one. Did the rest of her work from the production van. She was scared to be in the building. It's like things were happening to everybody. So it's messed up. I think it was just through that time where I was like, this is really awesome. But I was also kind of getting on TV production mode.
See, that's the thing too, and that's what kind of gets me is when you describe being in a band and then going to being on TV. It is sort of, in a way, you're not intimidated by the being in front of cameras and talking and having mics next to you and all that.
You're programmed.
Because we've done that a little bit with real production people. And at first it is kind of like Ralph Cramden, Chef of the Future thing where you're like, the lights are on you.
Yeah.
How was that experience as opposed to just going in there and doing it with, whoever's your buddy and then camera, boom, mic, people. What is that like? I mean, do you forget they're there? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, like when it's like haunted towns and stuff like that. I mean, there's still a little bit, you got to remember what you're, not lines, but you got to remember what you're talking about.
Right.
But it's like if you slip up, it's like you can go, yeah, so let me take that again. And you just do it. And it's normal to do that. But Haunted Live, that was a whole different animal. And that's where I think everybody was puckering until they said, that's a wrap, because there was a 7-second delay, I think. But that's just to keep you from if somebody curses or something.
Yeah, if there was back to back.
But that ain't going to cover you if you trip
Yeah.
or if you fall down or you do something stupid. It's like, but it's as dumb as it is. Like when you film, you just do your thing. When it comes to the investigating part of like haunted towns, they're kind of, you'll see the camera guy here and there, but a lot of time they're just like in the corners and stuff. They're not like ever right on you.
Yeah.
And you just do your thing and not worry about it. But yeah, when it came to Haunted Live, it was, you kind of going, we just don't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
were you part of that conceptual meeting? Because we talked about this with Chris. I mean, normal TV shows, as far as our experience, they're there for like 3 or 4 days, and then they edit all that stuff together and you get your 40 minutes or whatever. But live, there ain't no net. You're out there and it's live. But that's not only about like, what like you said, mistakes or whatever, cursing or whatever. That's nothing could happen in that time either, where you're taking a big chance. Were you involved in that meeting? Did anybody say we're going to do this live?
No, they called us and we had with the network, and they had everybody on the phone. They wanted to do 10 episodes of a live series, and we're like, yes, let's do it. It sounds cool. I mean, to this day, I would do it again in a heartbeat. But it's like every time they're like, they count you down. It's like we're all there in the dress and the wind's blowing. It's like there's nowhere to hide. Like I'll curse all day long, and you can beat me out. I don't care about that. But it's like you don't want to say something stupid. You don't want to trip. You don't want to fall. And one of the ones I remember, we were at the Palace Theater in Gallatin, because you're watching on travel, And then we also had the Facebook where you can watch the cameras.
Okay.
The whole thing was the audience you're the viewers are investigating too. So call in or write in if you're seeing something. And everybody was in the basement. And this was during a commercial break for the travel part. And but the cameras are still live on Facebook. And I got like 60 seconds before the show comes back, and it's on me with Jamie, with the host. So he's gonna be like, "We're out here and we're with Mike," because I'm doing surveillance. But it's like 60-second countdown, and they're like, "Okay, so we want you to talk about." Everybody's writing in about all the orbs in the basement. I'm like, "Orbs? It's dust." It's like,
no, please.
and I'm like, "I'm not gonna say
that.
that." And I was like, "Well, I can say, keep an eye out for something that might look this." And they're like, "No, just talk about all the orbs." I'm like, "I'm not." I said, "That's going to make me look dumb, make the team look dumb, and make the show look dumb." I said, "There might be a handful of people that think it or believe it, and that's fine. But chances are, when it looks like snow, it's like, it's all dust. They're kicking up the dusty basement." So I think we wound up just saying, keep an eye out for anything that's moving, kind of weird opposed to all the dust. But I'm like, please don't make me say that. It's like, God bless the viewers and making it happen, but it's like, no. But
that is funny though. That is.
Oh, and then when it's going like, no, well, we want you to say that, then you got, and he's pointing at you like, whoa. Like, now
that's funny though. And you're like Garth, with Wade and Garth. You're like, I don't feel so good.
Your brain's going in this direction, but you got to go in that direction.
And then a half Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, what do I do, man?
The microphone.
There was a few times like that where they kind of pointed me in a direction that I wasn't going to go. And then all of a sudden you see this going, and they're pointing at you, you're like, and then it's tough because it's like, we thankfully had activity every location, and a good chunk of them we've been to many, many times.
Okay.
We're only allowed in a certain radius of whatever part in Nashville, like a hub. And Palace Theater we've been to, Octagon Hall we've been to. It's like Rosemont we've been to. That was 2 minutes up the street. So I think if there's a belief in a theory that the spirits recognize you and they're familiar with you, we had that. Also that we knew a lot of these locations, we were comfortable. Because it's like we knew what the rooms were about. We talked about the history. It wasn't like trying to drill names in our head of Sergeant so-and-so was whatever. It's like we knew the names. We knew the history. So there's definitely a comfort level.
See, that's it.
Watch it. Yeah. When they come back and you see it coming up on a screen, it's like, we're going to come back to Mike and tell us what you saw. And it's like, we have all watched, live footage before while we're investigating. Chances are, what did you see? Nothing. It's like, it is so rare to capture something. And I'm like, I got 60 minutes. There's 60 minutes to do this. So chances are it's nothing. So I was trying to find stuff to talk about. But I think after 2 episodes, we used to get there like 11 in the morning, 12, and I'd start watching. Chris would come out with me. We'd have lunches and dinners out there watching it just in case if something happened. And later on, it doesn't happen. We can always say earlier today, this is what we captured. But
okay, that sort of makes sense because I asked him about that because like you just said, anybody who does any kind of paranormal investigations knows there's no guarantee. I don't care if you've been to the whatever castle that's the most haunted place on the face of the earth. There's no guarantee within an hour time that anything's gonna happen. So that's what I was trying to.
You can't cue the spirits?
Well, that's what I was kind of like. What if nothing is happening? What is going on then? And that makes perfect sense that you guys were kind of like, you'd been there before, so you knew where the quote unquote hot spots were. And you had kind of filler in your head that if it happens, I'm going to talk about my 5th grade spelling bee.
So when it was new though, when that's brand new, it's like playing. Okay, going back to playing live.
Right.
If you're in front of 10,000 people and you mess up, there's so much going on visually, audio. It's like as a guitar player, it's like you basically just, if you hit a wrong note, you just hit the delay and take it to town. And nobody knows. You know, you just keep going at it, and it's everybody makes mistakes. It's how do you hide it, or how do you
Right.
get around it live? You know, music wise, but there, it's like you really can't. You know, it's like, and as dumb as it is, it's like when you break away and we're walking to the house in the background. I'm taking steps like, please don't trip, please don't trip, please don't trip. That's all you want is in a
would have been
back.
great TV, though. It would have been great TV to see somebody kind of.
Please, no upset stomach, no bodily misfunctions,
Yeah,
nothing that we
exactly.
can't control.
It's one of those, it's hilarious happening to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you prefer that over regular 4-day shooting?
Pros and cons to both. No, actually, no cons. I don't want to say cons. I love doing it. I love making both shows. If they were handing me an option of doing one right now, it's so hard. I loved making the live show, but I was primarily surveillance.
Okay.
One episode I investigated, so it's like if it wasn't just that, yeah, I would pick live. But I also love the history and traveling to the different locations and be able to. But I never really got my feet wet really doing Ghost Asylum except for productions. I know they were kind of over asylums and prisons and stuff, but it's like I enjoy those too. There's just something about those that to me are.
When you say surveillance, what were you doing? I don't even remember a whole lot about the live episodes.
Oh, we all went in. It's like we broke into teams, and I was primarily the surveillance guy.
Meaning, what were you doing? You were just walking around and.
Oh no, we had a whole base set up out front, monitoring system, and
Gotcha.
like, that's recording live, and so it's like that was the whole thing. It was like outside, inside, outside, the whole command center, because it's like I was out there, I was out there with the host and the guy running the Facebook lives from Travel Channel, so it was like part of that whole home base team kind of thing out there.
When you met them, they were all friends, right? The Ghost Asylum crew, they all knew each other, and you were production guy that was working for the production people, right? So you weren't you weren't friends with them when you first met them, right?
I was friends with a couple of them at the gym, and then they got me the job doing production.
Oh, so Chris was definitely probably one of those guys because he's.
Yeah, so they're like, you know, do you know what you're doing? And it's like, no. I can pretend, you know. And it's like, it's one of those things. It's like if somebody asks you to do something, you say yes, and then you figure it out. And it worked. Like I said, it's like word of mouth, and it worked to this day. I got, it was actually like 2 or 3 months ago, I got a call from the same person I worked on all of those shows with, because I work with many different people, but one core person, and she told me, if you move to LA, I got a full-time job for you. So not knowing squat and figuring it out, doing it well can
pretty impressive.
You know, so it's like do your job and do it well, and it can get you more than I'm sure there's many people that had positions I did that went to school for it and tried to learn this, and it's like, and I didn't know anything.
And there are people that have been in the field for 30 years that are, you know, have been doing everything under the sun as far as like private cases and everything else that have never sniffed TV. And yet here you are, not that, like I said, it just happenstance, you know, you got your break, you made the most of it, and good for you.
Oh my God. Susan just said it's like Fireball, take a swig and then figure it out later.
So
I mean, that's how it is. Like, it's like we say, there's no experts. There's people that are more seasoned or people that had more experiences. But almost everybody that we rub elbows with when we go to all these conventions, from, of course, the ghost hunters people to, of course, Zaffis and stuff, it's like doing it way longer than me. And there's people that are up and coming that's doing it after me. So it's like, I don't. What people say, well, you guys are the experts, you're the professionals. I'm like, what a professional? It's like, what's a professional ghost hunter? Not a TV doesn't make you professional.
No.
Not at all.
But this is a field that we're searching for answers that nobody has. Nobody has that answer. So, like you said, you might have been doing this longer, longevity. Maybe you have like a certain method, but if you close the door and say, I'm the professional, I know everything, you lose that changing of the information and coming at things. Like we learn all the time, even from the people who come to our events, that they have different ways of doing stuff and go, oh, we never thought of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but there is a difference between people that go into people's homes and try to help them, and like a John Zappis who's been doing that forever and a day. And no offense to people who are, you know,
That's
just
different.
researchers and they're out there
Yeah.
on TV or just going for the thrill or looking, again, for their own curiosity to communicate with spirits and interact with them. There's a little bit of difference there.
100%. There are people going into homes that are creating
Right.
issues more.
No,
'cause
but I'm just saying
yeah.
there is a difference between
Yeah.
those two. But everybody is
100%.
doing the same thing as far as trying
Yeah.
to communicate with spirits.
Oh, right.
I mean,
Yeah, we say that at our events every week. It's like first timers, we learn the most from them because it's like they're not tainted by other people and watching that. And it's like they usually think outside the box. They have their own way of doing, and they're the ones where it's like, oh my God, I love that. I never thought of that. And it's like they're usually the ones that are more timid. But once they kind of break out of that shell, it's like they're the ones we learn the most from. And we always say it's like we want to learn from you, and hopefully you take something from us today. And it's not stealing; it's all borrowing, taking.
Exactly.
Because nobody's going to win the race. There's nobody that's going to I found a ghost. Look, here's the ghost. You know, I won. It's not, we're not all chasing.
No, they're going to be like, got one. Here it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, we're chasing a treasure and somebody found the gold.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like borrow whatever I do.
Of course.
If you learn, if you like it, take it.
Of course.
You guys go for the gold and I'll go for the leprechaun. How's that?
I don't even know what that means. But sure.
But that's how some people are, though. It's like, or some people BS their way through it using gold as an example. It's like, if we're all treasure hunters, are you going to fake a treasure? It's like, we're all going to know that it's not right. It's like, I don't get that side of it. There's people we know that do things, and it's like, why? You know, why? I don't know. We don't have to go down that part.
No, but it does exist, and here's another thing that exists that I'm going to kind of segue into a subject. Drama exists in this field from the top of whoever you think the top is in this field, whether they're TV people, whatever. Drama exists in the paranormal field, just like in life and anywhere else. There are people that are friends one day that aren't friends the next. There are people that don't like the way they do it, but they love the way the Ghost Adventures does it, and vice versa, and this, that, and the other. The Tennessee Wraith Chasers were originally Porter. Well, there were other guys there in the beginning on Ghost Asylum, but then people always ask, and I had this discussion with Chris too. People always ask, you know, why you guys aren't together now, why you're not working on anything together. Why are you just the Wraith Chasers and not the Tennessee Wraith Chasers?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a team before Doogie, Porter, and all that stuff. They came around prior to TV. Then there was the 3 Ghost Asylums. At the end of Ghost Asylum, Chasey already put his word in. He's like, I'm leaving. Family's growing. He had like 4 or 5 kids, and he bowed out. But I was already in when he bowed out because there was a little period of time. There were 6 of us, and everybody said, "Oh, you replaced Chasey." I'm like, I never replaced Chasey. It's like there was actually 6 of us, and I came in, and shortly after he went out. So that was that. Then we did with the rest of us that was left. We did the 2 Haunted Towns and Haunted Live, but that was in the middle. So after season 2 of Haunted Towns, everybody just kind of went their separate ways. So in order to just still keep, because Chris founded the team and he branded the name, came up with the name and the logo and all that. And being that we parted ways with them or just not worked with them anymore, I mean, Wraith Chasers was his. So it's like we're not just in Tennessee anymore, like where we were 10, 12 years ago. We're all over the U.S. now, outside the U.S. So let's just keep Wraith Chasers, because if we started coming like Mid-Tennessee Paranormal Society, people aren't going to know. You know, so like people know Wraith Chasers, whether Tennessee's on it or not. So we just dropped the Tennessee and Wraith Chasers. So at least there's still a familiarity branded name when you have just Wraith Chasers. But I mean, he founded a team, so it's like it's his baby, you know.
I mean, let's be honest. And anything, whether you're working a 9-to-5 job at some hospital, you're a nurse, doctor, whatever, change always happens.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't mean
yeah.
that there's anything of a change happens. Life interferes, and that's just the basics of anything.
I mean, it was like we did, like Porter was the first to, and I can say anything. I don't care if he's on here watching any of them. It's like, I'm not hiding anything. It's like, you can get on social media and watch anything I'm saying. It's like, he kind of did his own thing first. And then we still did a handful of things like public events and all that with Doogie. And then he kind of started doing his own thing. You can watch his page out. He's doing things with other teams. So he kind of did that also. We wish everybody the best.
Of
but,
course.
you know, will there ever be another Haunted Towns with that team? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know.
And again, that's what happens. I mean, anybody, like you said, bands are a great example of that. There are bands that have been together for 10, 20, 30 years, whatever. And still, these guys, after a while, they become different people. They have different interests. And they go, hey, you know what? We've done our thing. We were successful.
We grow and change.
I'm going to go try this thing now. And I'm going to go try that thing. And, you know, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing their own thing. You were just at Gettysburg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Porter was up there.
Yeah.
I mean, doing his thing. What's her name? No.
All
But,
right.
yeah, there you go.
We're not going to do
No charge for that one.
That was
exactly.
lie. You just put that in
But
there.
this is part of what I'm talking about. Again, there are issues. There's drama in this field. We have drama.
We're all
Our
humans.
group. I mean, I started with my brother, and things happened. And again, I've got issues as well that I'm still dealing with, and we've gone through different incarnations of the Jersey Paranormal. Things happen, and you know, they happen with all of them. Ghost Brothers, Ghost Adventures. I mean, not Ghost Brothers. Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. You name it.
I'm sure
Things-
all of them
things
have
happen.
it. I'm not saying we're the only ones that are. Okay, we're not drama free by no means, but
No.
I think the difference is not with everybody else, but a lot of them is that we don't air it. It's like we don't put
Right,
it out.
exactly.
I mean, I've had jabs at me on it, and I just read it and go like, but
Yeah,
I'm not
let
gonna.
let it go.
Well,
Don't
here's
do
what
the
I
back
think.
and forth.
Yeah, it's like it's not worth it to get on a social media war
No.
with a stranger.
No.
You know, it's like I don't care.
Well,
if
you
we
guys-
put it out there.
You guys, again, you and Chris, and I like Chris a lot. Chris has always been good to me, and you guys both have been good to me coming to the expo, and again, your fans love you. They're
Oh yeah.
there's comment after
I've been
comment.
following him
We'll
since
see you here.
middle
We
school.
saw you there.
Yeah.
That's another thing I wanted. This makes total sense to me. You being in a band makes total sense to me. How you could keep up the schedule that you guys have. We're working out dates to do events together.
Oh Lord, I
for
want to kill him.
this year. We were trying this year. The next year we locked into a date, thank God. And it's just like already for next year, you're saying to me, or Chris is saying to me, we only have a weekend here and a weekend there.
There's
How
only
many-
five weekends that need to be filled next year.
I mean, how many events would you say that you do a year if you had to ballpark?
For 23, there's over
Including conventions, private, the
a
whole
nice
thing.
average would be 80.
Holy sugar.
I mean, there's some weekends it's one, and then there's some weeks where it's four in a row, and it's like,
God.
you know, yeah. I mean, shoot, even if we have one this past weekend, only one night, but by the time we left the hotel, it was like Lethal Weapon. I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. When it's 3 in the morning.
I know exactly how you feel. Exactly how you feel.
During the week, like when this is over, I'm going to bed. I'm in bed at 8 o'clock,
That is
8:30 the
funny.
latest.
That is
My son's
funny.
3, and if he's after 8, I'm like, go to bed, man. Go to bed because I. But, you know, on the weekends, and it's like you're up till 3
Oh,
investigating, and you go back to the hotel, and you want to hang out. It's like I can't do this.
That
You know,
is
I'm
funny.
still up early, but yeah, I'm like I'm too old for this. I'm going to be 50 this year, man.
Yeah, hey, man. You don't have to
we
tell me.
passed
You don't have
that.
to tell.
We're
A lot
past
of
that.
wear on my tires too, man. That investigating all night long thing. That phew, I
Things
passed
hurt
that
me.
exit a long time ago.
Oh, I know, man. I mean, okay, so we're talking about filling stuff for next year, and somebody's like, "Yeah, we like doing it. Like, we'll come in at 6 p.m. and we can go to like 5 a.m." I'm like, "You can go to 5."
We've got an end.
Our
date.
time
We've been
cuts
in it.
off here. Your time.
So I actually want to share something funny with you about Chris.
All right.
Okay. So I didn't know who Chris was. And when we did the first convention that Chris was there, my daughter was still alive and she was there helping us. And she came over and she goes, Mom, who's the pumpkin man?
The pumpkin?
I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. She goes, I think it's his tan. So she nicknamed him privately.
I'm so
Man.
sorry, Chris. Please still come to the expo, please. I don't know this person. I just pulled her off the street.
You cannot.
She's a drinker. She's off her meds.
Don't tell
Whatever
him
you
that.
need
That's not
to
even
tell
true.
Chris.
I don't
Please
drink,
tell
and
Chris.
you know it. But
Now
Chris knows. I
he
said
knows.
this to Chris. He knows. He knows.
Well,
Because we laughed
on the
about
other
it.
end of that, my son-in-law has a man crush on Chris. He's like watches all their episodes, and he was like, "He's jacked. He's jacked." And I'm like, "Really?" He couldn't wait to take a picture with him at the expo. Remember, Mike, she's off her meds, so please tell Chris I sincerely
Come on,
apologize.
that's funny. Is it not funny?
Oh, it's funny. No, he gets that stuff all the time. He'll get, well, not just that, but he'll get the jack. It was, I think it was just last week too. A girl wants to take a picture. She gets in the middle of us. She goes, or on his side, and she's like, I want to stand next to him. He's the cute one. I'm like, I'm right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
Hello,
here.
I can hear you.
Whisper it in his ear, or just stand over there. Just stand over there.
Ouch.
So these events, I was just looking at pictures, even from like the last couple that you guys were doing. To your credit, and again, I give you guys all the credit in the world because I know what it takes to sell out the events that we do. We only do about 26 a year, and that is way too much even for me at 55.
That's events. There's no talking about all the other stuff.
Well, yeah, but I see that the group of people, the large groups that you guys still draw, and
That's
it's
amazing.
Again,
Yeah.
you guys are like a touring band. Boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, and yet, I mean, what do you think about
the
that?
rock
You've got
star
to
of the
appreciate.
paranormal, right
Yeah,
there.
but you've got to appreciate that these people still.
Oh, I love it. I love it because it's like it's almost like, I mean, there's some people that are hardcore paranormal. They're there for that reason. I'm not saying the majority of them are not. I think the majority of them just a little bit above that. It's a good time. It's like a family gathering in a new location with a foundation of paranormal, which is very cool. But it's like, you get so many people. Like this weekend, we saw I haven't seen you in 4 months. I saw you last week. Well, I'll see you next. It's like a big, crazy family reunion. Everybody has a good time. A lot of times, everybody's at the same hotel, and then we're all going to do this cool thing together. So it's amazing how you can be in Kansas and somebody's there from New York or somebody's there from Florida, and it's like, wow. You know, I came all the way here to see. The furthest, we had a lady come to the Titanic Museum event. She flew in from Australia to meet us.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but like you said, you can never take that for granted, and you can never, you have to just appreciate that because, again, like you said, people are spending their money, people are traveling, and I heard that people have a great time.
Yeah, but take the fact that somebody paid to come that far away from home to meet you. That's got to really hit the heart.
Oh, I mean, it's amazing, but it's also like, really?
Yeah, I know. You put yourself like, who would you do that for? Honestly, name a person. Is there anybody you would do that for? And I'm not putting down the person who did it. I get why people. I waited online for 3 hours to meet. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. I would have waited online for whatever back in the 90s to meet those guys. But is there anybody you would wait online?
Nobody I would fly to Australia for like that lady.
Right.
But no, I mean, shoot, growing up, it's like I camped out all night for Van Halen tickets. I camped out all night for Maiden. Like when it comes to spending money or waiting in line, like if we had to use the waiting in line like all night long, and not to meet Iron Maiden, they're one of my favorite bands. Like if it was a handshake, a picture, and all that, I ain't gonna wait out all night anymore. Right. But if I got to hang out with them all day, and it's the equivalency of like what we do, and it's like, oh, I get to hang out with you, we get to jam with you, and maybe have dinner and stuff. Yeah, hell yeah, I would do it. But it's, I can't.
No, I get it. I get it.
But no, it's like when people do that, it's like we don't like. you come to the event, we want to hang with you. We want to do all that kind of stuff. But if it was something like that, like a maiden, yeah, that would probably be the top person I would do it with.
So back to the paranormal stuff. After doing this as many years as you've been doing this, and as many places you've been way more places than we have. Do you have like specific theories on what happens after? Like as far as are spirits stuck here? Can they travel back and forth? You know, that type of thing. Do you have in your mind after all the things that you've done, do you have like an overlying theory?
I think I got pieces of quite a few. I don't really have a one. And I'm not going to go into a big thing, but it's like, do I believe like, oh, that's grandma in my house? No, after she passed, I don't believe that. Do I believe it's people that are passed on? Possibly, because religion, it's like, do I think you go straight to heaven or hell? I don't know, because the Bible says, Jesus comes back, he's going to judge the living and the dead. So I think, and there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. So I think there's something. Some people call it purgatory. I don't think it's that. But if there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, what's the now heaven?
Right.
So there's something there, whatever you want to call it. I also think it's also time. I don't think it's also, I think there's certain places or times where we can actually, our times or ribbon times are crossing. We'll say it's a residual haunting. It's like, is it, or are we kind of crossing worlds, or if that makes, I know there's like Dustin has like a
dimensions. You're talking about different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a little there's pieces of all of it. I don't have a one theory of what it is.
Right. So when you say like one of these big asylums or something like that, or a hospital where they're one of the better known haunted places, and people were mistreated, whatever, and people have experienced all this stuff there with maybe patients or whatever who had been there. Again, this is just opinion. I don't know if it's right or wrong either. Do you believe that their spirits still linger there, or do you believe that it's just kind of the echo of what was there before?
With those two, I would lean more towards B, the echo of still there. I don't want to per se. It's like, inmate Jim that was beat to death there. There's Jim's ghost. I don't think it's that. Right. It's so hard to put a pin on what it is. I think there's so much when you get places like Gettysburg, places like Virginia. I mean, my God, anywhere you walk in Virginia seems to be, again, what we'll call quote unquote haunted. I just think there's so much tragedy, so much, let's call it energy. There's so much release there that I don't even think we can fathom what it is. And I kind of lean more towards the time, let's call it that, like the little layers of time. I lean more towards that. And that was thanks to Dustin Perry, because it's like, you listen to that guy talk and all of a sudden you're like, I know. I was like, I believe you now. The earth is flat. Because Dustin told us the earth is flat, so he's right.
Thank you, Yoda. You feel like you're a child. Like
we talk about energy, and you talk about the asylums, the hospitals, the different tragedies in different places that people suffered, like what happened. Do you think it's more like a capture of the emotional energy?
That's what we were saying. Yeah. You're kind of tapping into
the emotion of it, the feeling, like how people get that feeling of either the dread, the fear, the anger, the whatever. Because we always talk about just energy, but I always like to refer to it as emotional energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Because it's like, I think using emotion on that way too, like happiness and laughter is an emotion that we like to use. Yep. But yeah, it's like that happened then of, like you're saying, a prison asylum tragedy, that emotion. It's so hard to.
That's the thing, you don't know.
Thing on it. Yeah, because it's like like I said, I don't think it's like the ghost of Jim, that kind of thing. I just think there's so much in that. But also, here's another thing: we do prisons where we'll get what sounds like a child EVP, and it's like, where does that come from? Is it something that was before the building was there? Is it after you pass, or whatever you want to call it? Is it another form of that person? Is it like, can you I don't want to say come back, not like a reincarnation kind of thing, but do they change forms? Whatever they are on the other side.
Mike put the timer on. He's like, "This is when I'm cutting out of this." Did you hear
Well,
that?
Oh, no,
before-
no, that's somebody.
That's the end of interview
He
sound.
can't
Okay, we
go
got it.
anywhere until I ask we have learned so much about certain people by this absolutely silly question.
Oh,
That's
boy.
not so silly.
Please don't say anything about Chris anymore.
No. So the question is, you've done events, you've been around people, done events, and they become your family. They've gotten to know you. What is something that people may not know about you? It can be anything. Hobby, something that people don't know that you do that you're willing to share, that would surprise people. Like, just to give you an example, Sherry told us that she was named after a racehorse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
See, Mike seems like an open book. I don't think they're gonna.
You never know.
If it was up to my mom, my name would have been Julian.
Julian.
So that's there. Things that people don't know. A movie I really like, and this is out there now, is Legally Blonde. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. I gotta go. I'm hitting the end button as we speak. You're right. I'm here to ding myself now. There it is.
Because it's
Okay, so
entertaining.
just Chris
That's
is
why.
coming to the expo. Is that what you said? You can't make it?
But it's always nice for people to get to know the human side of you, not just what they think, like all of the normal stuff with the ghost hunting and stuff. It's nice to have like a human, like little nugget of something that you drop in that people love.
I mean, it's like I love fishing. I started late in life. I have a 3-year-old son. I'm going to be 50, and I have a 3-year-old. So it's like that's life when I'm home. It's like married with child. And everybody I went to school with. It's like their kids are starting college. So it's definitely different.
How was that go? I mean, you enjoy that, right? I mean, I see the pictures of you and your son everywhere. It's life changing.
Timing is perfect because I think it's never the right time,
Right.
but you make it the right time. But it's like my life in my late 20s or the 30s, there's no way. I mean, I was gone so much, and it's like I know if it happened then, I would have adjusted to it and made it work.
Right.
But it's like now it's great, It's like for the most part, unless we're filming something, I'm home the majority of the week, day and night.
Yeah.
So it's like I think I have more time with him than it's like if I had a 9 to 5 and it's like he's off to school, then you come home, you eat dinner, kiss goodnight, and that's it. And it's just like morning and night. Now it's like I pick him up from school today. We got to go to the park and play at the park for a while, then come home and have dinner and
But isn't it scary that a little person depends on you so heavily? Isn't that kind of terrifying?
It's life changing,
That's why I got my wife. That's what.
He gets
we're driving.
Did you hear him just say he gets to do the fun things? Take him to the park, do this.
Gotcha. All right. We just learned a nugget there, ladies.
Hey, we were driving the other day, and somebody in front of me, I'm get road rage. I don't curse in front of him, but I was like, "Come on," And he's in the back seat, and he goes, "Hurry up, you big dummy!" And
oh my god,
he gives me a look. She goes, "He got that from you. You're not."
You should have been like that damn Kermit the Frog. What are they teaching these kids now on Sesame Street?
I was like, it was funny though. I was like, he didn't say anything bad. She goes, "Well, what if he goes to school and calls his teacher a big dummy?" I'm like,
Well, that's actually pretty tame compared to what I hear is happening.
Well, Mike and Chris will be at Paraunity. New Jersey Paraunity Expo happens in less than 3 months now, November 4th and 5th. They'll both be there. They'll be there for the parties. They'll be there to meet and greet at their table. We are working on doing something with both of them next year, which I'm really looking forward to. If you can, they do 1 million events. I'm sure there's one in your area that you could check out. Mike, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this. I really do.
Oh, thank you, man. Can you believe the last year was like, just 2 days ago was a year already?
Believe me, we have PTSD from the heat and everything. We don't talk about last year. We just wipe that out.
Yeah.
No, but thank you so much for having me, man. It was a lot of fun.
We'll see you in November, Mike.
Was that?
Oh, I thought you You just
Oh
froze up
no,
for a
saying
minute.
it, I say that hour went by like that. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing it. I mean, again, it's easy with someone like you. You're kind of open and honest. Some
Yeah.
people, like you said, you were saying, doing that investigation, like, what is your name? Why? Some people, you're like, okay, question 24, and you're on the 3-minute mark.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, you're like
location?
fishing for anything, but you made it real easy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Mike, take care.
Have
We'll
a
see you in
good night, Mike.
November.
Thank you, man. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we did introduce ourselves in the beginning. I'm John. This is Chris. We are New Jersey Paranormal. We do a lot of these live stream interviews. We do a lot of live investigations. We investigate haunted objects. We are also the two people that run and organize the New Jersey Para Unity Expo, November 4th and 5th, Woodbridge, New Jersey. Hopefully you guys will come out. Ghost Hunters, Ghost Brothers, Project Fear, Chip Coffee,
Wraith Chasers.
Steve DeShivey. I mean, they're all going to be
John
there.
Zappis.
John Zappis. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in a few days. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe and healthy, and please be kind.